So this is my husband's brain tumor. There it is. In the medical world, you call it an ogliodendroglioma. Kind of a cool name, big name. And in the world of brain tumors, it's actually a great name. It's a name that means you're good, you're fine, things are going to be okay. But in the moment of finding out and seeing this image, boy, those words don't exist. They don't happen. It takes a while to get there. In our house, this is called the effing tumor. Because that's what it is. It's an effing tumor. There's no other way to put it. And from that moment where the effing tumor came into our lives, the world shifts and changes. And I'm sure some of you have had experiences of moments in your life where your world changes. And for us, it was like everything immediately separated. And it got its own little hashtag. So everything before the tumor got a hashtag of life before the tumor. Every memory, every event, every activity, life before brain tumor. Everything after seemed to be doomed to have the hashtag life with or after cancer. It's an incredible, humbling experience. But what I want to share with you today is not just my journey, but also a challenge to you to think about what your moments are, what hashtags they put on your life, and how you take that and look at it, which is how I do, that this is the greatest gift I've ever been given. You don't get there alone. This is the guy with the tumor. And he will happily let you know, as I tell you this story and what's kind of evolved, he'll happily let you know it's all because of him, right? If the tumor wasn't there, you're not where you are, baby. You're not standing on the stage at TEDxCharlotteED. I have the tumor. That right there is the gift that started to allow us to heal. The gift of humor. Who wears a got glioma t-shirt, right? But that got glioma t-shirt allows us to minimize the effing tumor, right? The tumor doesn't have power. We have power. We're laughing at it. Got glioma? As Eric knows, somebody in Harris Teeter did because they tracked him down, waving their hands. Yes, yes, I've got glioma. Great. Yeah, right. Perfect. And you know, from the very beginning, that ability to look at yourself and your situation and to laugh at it and to see the absurdity is so important. When we were in the hospital, you know, when you have a brain tumor, they put you in your own room. You don't have to share. And so we're in there, and we've got this nurse who's whizzing in and out, and the diagnosis had just come, and boy, we got to get you down to CMC Maine right now. And you know, I've got my best friend there with me, Julia, and Julia's already on her iPhone diagnosing, figuring out, you know, the most experimental treatment in China, asking, are we willing to fly to Brazil next week to see what they've got, booking the flights, everything. She's going crazy. I'm in a haze. Eric's laughing. And we walk out, and this nurse puts her arms around me and walks me to the double doors. And I tell you, to this day, I have this image of these double doors in my life because I knew I was leaving my old life behind. At that moment, I was walking into a whole new world, and I didn't know what it was going to be. But I had this nurse who had had, I think she said, 20 years experience, and she put her arms around me and walked me through those double doors, and she said, darling, I see this a lot. I'm thinking, really? You see this a lot? Honey, I see this a lot, and I have to tell you, when I looked at his scan, there are usually more than one spot there. It's, you know, you've only got one, and I'm here to tell you, darling, it's syphilis. Really? Don't worry. I mean, you got to worry a little bit because you got to figure out where it came from, but you've got one spot. One spot. Lots of times there are a whole lot more. You're okay. You're good. It's syphilis, darling. Good luck. And I'm walking through, and I'm like, I'm getting in my car, and I've got to figure out how to actually drive the 5 miles to CMC Maine, and I'm thinking, all right, syphilis, syphilis? Am I sitting here thinking, oh, please let it be syphilis? Is it syphilis? And I'm negotiating in my own mind, I can forgive this, I can forgive this, I can move on. Not syphilis. Good. Good. Humor. Humor is where we were able to survive this tragedy. The other part was the blessings that we felt, the outpouring of support, the people who dropped a meal at our doorstep every night. And we live in the South, right? I mean, we don't drop dried chicken breasts and a little bit of broccoli. We pull out grandma's creamiest, cheesiest, ginormous dinner you could ever put together, complete with appetizer and bottles of wine and dessert, and we gained 10 pounds, and we, filled up all our neighbors' freezers, but it was there every day. And somebody planted flowers at our house one day. My Santa angels came and drug all of the Christmas decorations out of the attic. They put up a tree. They strung the outside lights. Who strings outside lights, right? They did it. We were blessed. And Eric and I have always said we've never fallen to our knees and cried, okay, not that much, but about the brain tumor. That gives it too much attention. That gives it too much value. We cry and fall to our knees for gratitude. That's what we do. So what do you do with the gratitude? Well, first you go through some dark days, because I don't want to paint a picture that this is rosy or that this has been easy. It wasn't. It was ugly for a while. In addition to the inadvertent weight gain that came with all the food, there was a real, very tangible addiction to weeds with an S. Showtime TV show. You're familiar with it? I lived in that universe. It was a mother who, 2 young kids, husband died, sounding very familiar and real to me. She just went ahead and started a marijuana distribution ring. Married a drug lord, Mexican drug lord. It was glorious for me, to the point where I'd take a few naps in the morning after I got up because it was exhausting. And then I'd go to carpool to pick up my children, but I'd go a half an hour early. And I'd take my iPad and I'd watch weeds in the carpool line. And it was perfectly normal and it was perfectly okay. And not one person questioned me. Not my friends, not my family, nobody, not Eric, although I'm sure he was thinking, what is she doing watching weeds? Loving weeds, that's all I could talk about, weeds, weeds, weeds. But I had to do it. And what I have to do now is look back at it and laugh and say, okay, you need that dark time. You need that moment. You need to grieve. You need to heal. And then you need to rise up. And you need to, as I say to my children at school, you need to buck up. Enough. Buck up. Because you're blessed. And there's no getting around it. So here's what I did. Here's what I'm doing. I started thinking, yeah, husband, brain tumor, sucks. Children, cancer, can't fathom it. Cannot even go there. That's who I'm going to work with. That's my calling. That's what we're going to do. And so I started, and unfortunately, there are a lot of them out there, y'all. They're out there. It wasn't hard to find. And I started talking to the families, and I said, what do you need? What's going on in your world? What do you need? And they said, obviously, we need my child to be better. Their number one priority is raising funds for research to cure and prevent cancer. Got it. I get it. That's the number one and most important thing. Number 2, what do you want? I want them to be normal. What's normal for a kid? School, learning, friends, book reports, explaining away the C on a report card. That's normal. What are you worried about? Take the cancer out of the picture. What are you worried about? Their education. I'm worried about their education. I'm worried about what happens when they walk out of this hospital well, which they will. We're advanced enough in our medical community. These children are walking out of the hospital. They're well. They live a full life. What do they need? They need their education. And they need more than just an education. They need a passion. They need to be able to dig deep into themselves, to look at what they have survived, And they need to say, I'm a learner. I'm a survivor, and I'm a learner. So how are we going to do this? Well, first of all, rock star. Well, it sounds nice. Rock star. It's just, it's a lovely little thing. But what's better? What's a better tagline for a child with cancer than a rock star? Nothing. These kids are rock stars. They're amazing. So when you look at the guitar, that's it. Those words, that's it. I really don't have to talk about the why and the what and the how that much, because those words are it. We're going to help them become lifelong learners. We're going to help them in their journey to be confident and to walk optimistically through the rest of their life as the best learner they can be. And you know what? We live in an amazing time. We live in a time when technology is opening up and breaking down the walls of the classroom. It no longer matters, or should matter, that these children aren't in our classrooms. They don't need our classrooms. They need access to the world, as do all of our learners, not just the ones fighting cancer or other illnesses. So what do? We give them the technology. We give them the opportunity to explore and to learn and to become active and engaged. We have a wonderful partnership here in Charlotte with an amazing organization called Levine Children's Hospital. Levine Children's Hospital serves these children selflessly and tirelessly every single day. And as a healthcare organization, they themselves have committed to the academic learning of these children. We have a 2-year pilot program to bring education and technology to the children within the walls of Levine Children's Hospital. I think that's pretty amazing for a healthcare organization to step up to the table and say, yeah, you're right, they need this. We need to bring this to them. This is as important as the other services that we provide to families. So it's partnerships like those. It's the commitment of tutors who work for me, tutors who volunteer, friends and family who search tirelessly for the apps on the iPads. It's the whole community coming together and saying, we believe in these kids. We have the resources and the time and the talent to make them believe in themselves. There's no greater hope in my mind to give a child and a family facing cancer than the hope of their education for the future. It says you'll be here. We know you're going to be here. And we believe in what you're going to do from here on out. I teach middle school kids, which is, for those of you that are middle school teachers, get it. And those of you that don't teach middle school but teach other grade levels, you probably say to yourself, yeah, I'd never do that. You're never going to do that. But I tell my kids, because there's not, I don't think, a time in their lives where they are more self-absorbed and more what is it? Just self. That's all it is. They're just self. And they don't know who they are, and they struggle to find out who they are, and all they look at is themselves. That's all they're able to look at. And I tell them all the time, you figure out who you are when you start looking at other people. When you start taking the time to say, enough. I'm not going to give the effing tumor enough of my energy to make it important, to give it a voice. You need to let go, kids, of what's going on on some ways, on some level inside of you, and start looking outward. Start thinking about, where do you go? How do I help that person? Do you know how amazing that feels? And they learn it so quickly. They know right away. It's amazing. We as adults need to remember that as well. We get to learn more about ourselves. It's selfish, y'all. You go out and you help other people, you help these children. It's selfish because it feels good. It feels great. And all of a sudden, other things don't matter as much. So I love the quote. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. One of the other things that was my saving grace in all of this was my ability to discover yoga and some of the things that come along with this. And this is not your vacation kind of yoga. This is the yoga where it's like 110 degrees in the room and you really can't even breathe and you can't think and your muscles hurt, and it's that kind of yoga. But at the end of every yoga session, there's this little pattern, there's this little activity. It takes 2 seconds, but I want us all to do it because I think it is a way to honor each other, and it's a way to honor ourselves, and it's a way to offer peace. So if you will indulge me for one moment, if you will put your hands together, like in prayer, and if you will, and I can't do it because I had a bar fight. If you will put your hands, I can't do it very well, put it up to your third eye, right here in the middle of your forehead. That's your third eye, and close your eyes. And what I'm going to say something to you, and when I'm done, we're all going to bow, and we're going to say the word namaste. Namaste means peace. And then you're going to turn to the person beside you, and you're going to keep your hands there, and you're going to bow and say namaste to them as well. And we're going to be able to leave with a sense of peace, a sense of community, and a sense of connection. So, with our eyes closed, I say to you, the light in me honors the light within each and every one of you. Namaste. Namaste.